Hello, hello. I was talking and I was on mute. Hey, Diana, how you doing? Good to see you on the session again. I think now the sound should be working. Okay, cool. Good to see you all on the session. If you are on this session, do drop a message, say hi. If you're new, let me know where you're joining us from. Love to find out. Um, let's see. Yeah, drop a message, let us know where you're joining us from. Love to find out. Any questions, put into chat and let me know as well. Hey, Robbie, how you doing? Hey, Jimmy, good to see you on the session. We've got our regular gang in already, nice and early. The news, it is now 8:01 p.m. GMT plus 8. The news is at 8:30 GMT plus 8. So there is 30 minutes to, 28 minutes to the news now. Right, so again, remember to click that like, that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. I know most of you guys have. If you have any questions, put in the chat, let me know. If you, what else was it? If you, put in the chat, let me know. Oh, let me know where you're joining us from if you're on the session. If you're on the session, let us know where you're joining us from. Okay. Um, Feels like it's been a while since we've done this. Okay. So what we're focusing on today, the non-farm employment change number is usually on the first Friday of every month. But in July, sometimes it becomes a little bit more special because the 4th of July, this time around, is on, the first Friday of the month, this time around is on the 4th of July, which is a major, major holiday in the US, Independence Day. Um, so non-farm employment change got shifted forward to the 3rd of July on a Thursday. From memory, I thought they used to just cancel it or like do it the next week around. So I was slightly interested to see that it's pushed to Thursday. Um, just a quick recap on things we've talked about. So we do this, let me see. Yeah, so we do this live stream for every day when I'm not traveling, every day for our members, where we talk about the markets, right? So we had our 3 p.m. and this was at 3 p.m. GMT plus 8. So at 3 p.m. today, we've already gone through what we think the dollar might do, what we think the major currency pairs might do, the possible trade setups across the major currency pairs. The good thing is that price hasn't moved that much since we spoke about it 5 hours ago. So a lot of the setups are still valid. And the thing about this is the non-farm this time around could be a little bit interesting, could be a little bit more interesting. Mainly because unemployment rate is expected to go from a 4.2 to a 4.3%, right? While the non-farm employment change is expected to go from 1.139K, slow down slightly, employment change slow down slightly to 111K. And average hourly earnings slow down slightly as well from 0.4 to 0.3. If this was just taken alone, I would have thought, yeah, that's reasonable that it slows down, might see a little bit of even a little bit of an upset, that we could see it maybe perform a little bit better or not slow down as much. The thing is that yesterday, last night, we did just have the ADP non-farm employment change. Again, the ADP non-farm employment change is not directly correlated to the official non-farm employment change data. It's not even, at sometimes, it's not even indicative, right? ADP could be a good number, official data could be a bad number. So it's not, sometimes it's not even indicative. But it's just interesting to see that this time round, the previous number was 37K, got revised down to 29. It was expected to go from initially from a 37 to a 99, so a bit of an improvement. What happened was it came out, it got released yesterday at a minus 33K. A minus 33K. So that's a massive upset. It's a massive, massive upset in terms of the ADP non-farm employment change data to have negative growth, no growth, right? A contraction, a loss in jobs or in employment numbers. And this was attributed down to the tariffs from Trump having some impact on, outlook and forecast, hence people losing their jobs. There was some talk about the government efficiency evaluations or assessments having some impact on jobs. We're thinking that we might see a bigger impact in the months to come as well. So that's why we see a minus 33K. But that said, the dollar didn't move. This was last night on release of the news. It popped down and then came back up, took a couple of hours before it started pushing back down again. So despite a minus 33K data release, it wasn't, in terms of price movement, it wasn't horrible. It wasn't too drastic, right? The dollar is still stuck within that range between 96.50, 96.50 and 97 flat. It came as a little bit of a surprise because also yesterday or the day before that, we saw JOLTS job openings coming out stronger. Right? It was a 7.39, got revised by a little bit up to 7.4. It was expected 7.32, so a slowdown was expected. It was 7.39, expected to slow down slightly to a 7.32. But as we have it, it got released at a 7.77 mil. A good upside surprise. A good upside surprise. So, think about it. On Tuesday, in terms of job openings, we had a good upside surprise of job openings. And then come Wednesday, we have terrible job losses from the ADP non-farm number at a minus 33K. So comes down to today. It all comes down to today. Non-farm employment change. If we think along the lines of the JOLTS job openings, then we might see, or we might think that the data could be 120, 130, possibly even 130. Right? If we think along the lines of the ADP non-farm employment change, then I was kind of thinking about it this afternoon, and we might even see it at a high 90s or low 100s. I don't think we're going to see a massive upset here, but it's going to add to the overall sentiment, possibly. Right? So that's kind of setting up the whole news that's coming out in 20 minutes now. Any questions, do put it into the chat and let me know. Hey, Top G, how you doing? Hope you're well. So that's what's happening there, okay? In terms of the dollar, there is that consideration. The first thought was, yes, follow, I mean, we were talking about this before, the dollar index has been dropping since the start of the year. Where was it? The start of the year was here. It's popped up to 110, and then since 1st of Feb, it's been trending, trading lower to the downside, and now it is along that range of 96, between 96.50 and 97.10. I've just realized something. I'm going to try and see what I can do it. I can't figure this one out. Okay. Nope. Okay, I'm going to move it here. So I'm not blocking the prices and I'm not blocking all that kind of stuff. Oh, I lost my name. There we go. I think that's going to be a bit better so that we can see prices and all that. All right. So the natural move and natural expectation is for price to continue lower, to continue that trend and it trade lower, especially if it does break below this support level here at 96.50. And then down to the next level here at 95.70. All right. Let me just move this aside. We don't need it for now. And then what if, there is a bit of a thought that although we could see the non-farm employment change data come out negative, it might come out weak, it might come out as an upset, but we might not see the corresponding move on the dollar index. We might actually see the dollar, or we could see the dollar index strengthen instead, because it's at such a low point. Maybe it finds a little bit of support here. There is the thought that it has been since Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday forming higher lows. It could be pushing up. Although in the scenario that it pushes up, the long term, the big trend, the medium term trend, the short term trend is to the downside. The really short term trend is could be slightly higher. So I would look for a retrace to test the nice resistance here at 97.60, which is also that previous swing levels, which is also the 38.2 level, to test and possibly reject and look for that downside again. We want to follow a trend. We want to follow a trend as much as we can. So that's one thing. Unless it breaks above that resistance level, then we start thinking that maybe this correction or this retracement is going to turn into a more sustained correction to the upside. Okay. I hope it's all making sense to you. Do let me know what you think. In fact, if you want to, you can also put in your best guess. It is absolutely the best guess in terms of the non-farm employment change number. What do you think is going to be? Is it good? You can put in a number, or you can put in whether you think it's going to be better or worse than the forecasted. Better or worse than the forecasted. Or if you want to get really specific, you can put in a number of what you think the non-farm employment change is going to be. We have 15 minutes till the news, so there is a little bit of time to kill before that. Hey, Hungry Foodie, how are you doing? Good to see you on the session. Hey, Top G, you're good. I'm doing great. Could be a lot better. Doing great. Having fun. Good to be on the session with you guys. Right. So again, if you're on the session, do drop a message and say hi. Let me know that you're here. Oh man. Remember to click that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. I kind of lost connection a little bit there, so I hope we're still okay. Okay, I think it's working. I think it should be fine. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think it just had a bit of a blip, lost a bit of connection, but we're still around. Diner thinks 120. Anyone else has a guess? So we think that Diner thinks that we might see a bit of a better than expected number following the JRTS sentiment rather than the ADP data. We never know. We'll never know. We won't know until 8:30. It is really a best guess scenario. So let's see. Um, in terms of how I'm seeing prices at the moment, it does feel like there might be a bit of a sound breaking. Is the sound better now? Let me know how the sound goes. Okay, might stop moving around so much. Um, okay, I say let me know how the sound goes, and I keep so quiet. Yeah, so it does look like there could be the scenario where we would see the dollar strengthen instead. All right, it's really undecided at this point, but the way the Kiwi dollar is behaving seems a bit toppish. Aussie dollar seems like it's struggling as well. Pound dollar could be a little bit toppish. So it does feel like a little bit toppish. It does feel like there could be some moves towards some dollar strength scenarios, but it's the news, right? It could just spike right back up again. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so let me know what you think. Anyone else with a best guess on what you think price might, what you think the NFP might be? Do let us know. Do share your thoughts. I had a Swiss franc as a possible counter. It seems like it might actually be quite nice to play out. The loonie is still sitting there, and gold is still in that slight weirdish consolidation. But it is showing some upside potential. So there is mixed. Price action does seem mixed at the current point. Um, let me know if the sound is okay, if it's too good, or if it's reasonable. We are 20 minutes in. We have 10 minutes to the news. What might happen or how this might go is that if the news comes out and it's interesting, we have good movements, we have good volatility and movements, then we'll keep the trades or keep the stream running. I could jump into some trades there. So once I jump into trades, I might go a little bit quiet and focus on my trades. Um, if it becomes a bit of a snooze fest, then we'll look at the data. We'll look for some possible setups. If we don't see anything, and we can call the end to the session as well. We're going to keep it a bit flexible, a bit loose and easy. Okay. Alrighty. So again, non-farm employment change data to be released. And then tomorrow is Independence Day, the 4th of July in the US. Independence Day. It might, and also because of the 4th of July being on a Friday, that's a super long weekend. Well, not super long, but there's a long weekend ahead. It might be that they don't, traders are not as quick to take on or not willing to take on positions or bigger positions just to manage their exposure over the long weekend. Especially we know, if Trump comes out and starts talking over the weekend, when liquidity and volume is low, it's not going to be great. So Monday is back in, but Friday is a bank holiday in the US. So volume and liquidity in um, tomorrow might be a little bit lower, lower and lower. Okay. So it is starting to count down. We are just under 8 minutes to the news release. Anyone else? Anyone else with their guess? We've got a 120. I'm thinking 90s, high 90s to um, low 100s. What else do you think? What do you think it might be? Do let us know. Do share. And hey, if you are jumping into any trades, whether it's the one that I'm looking at, whether it's your own trades, whether it's based on things I'm talking about, please remember disclaimer applies. You are responsible for your own trades. Check your leverage, check your margin, check your trade size. Make sure you trade with a stop loss and a take profit. Put that all together so that in a worst case scenario, you're not going to zero your account. It's still going to be um, good and reasonable. You're gonna get through this news and survive for the next one as well. Okay. Will gold dip? Will gold dip? I don't. I mean, the first thought we had on that was that needs to stay above 33.30. Weakness in the dollar could push it up, right? It all comes down to what's going to happen to the dollar currently sitting just below that 96.90 level. If it breaks 96.90, comes down to the support and breaks lower, I don't think gold is going to dip. I think gold would have a nice pop to the upside. Um, I was hoping that this afternoon it would have come down a little bit more to bounce off this point, very similar to this. But if it sits there at this level, then I would only be looking at gold if it breaks past that previous high um, to start considering short-term buys to the upside. I won't be trading, I won't be scalping on gold tonight just because we're on the session. Scalping takes 110% focus. So on scalping on gold takes 110% focus. So I don't think I'll be too keen on scalping that tonight, especially when it's right in the middle with no seriously clear directions being formed right now, or buyers being formed right now. Okay. Right. Can also start looking at it on the 15-minute time frame. The gold actually trying to push back up, so it does need to break above that point first. EV dollar testing lower. down to this point. Looking at the Kiwi, it does feel like maybe there's a bit of a downside. Maybe the dollar might strengthen back up. Aussie dollar as well. Aussie dollar, if it does come back in, it's right in the middle, so I wouldn't be too keen on it. I would love to have seen pound dollar push back up. Kind of holding that level. If it holds that level, we could see a break back to the upside. That would be nice. That would be a good setup there. Euro dollars are on an M15 time frame as well. Just a quick reminder. Nothing too flash, nothing too obvious. Dollar yen. Yet. We're 3 minutes from the news. Euro yen was very keen on this to the upside. Looks like it might take a little bit longer. Pound yen, same thing, but it might just sit along the support. Sweezy trying, not super hard, but trying. And then Looney is just right in the middle. I don't think I'm super keen on CAD unless it does test and bounce off the support. So probably not going to spend too much time looking at this. And I'm not a big fan of the US Swiss franc. The Sweezy, I kind of tend to focus on the other majors, especially during a major news. All right. 2 minutes to the news release, to the data release. If you are here on the session, do drop a message, say hi, let me know that you're on. I've seen that we've got an increasing number of people joining us on the live stream, so keep keep the chat going. Drop a message, say hi, let me know that you're on. Remember to click that thumbs up button if you haven't already, and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel grow. It does help to get more people onto the live stream. I think if you keep the chat going, so that would help massively. And it doesn't cost anything. So do that. All right. 1 minute to the news. I'm looking for a pop down. Push to the downside. A push to the downside would make it very attractive for the pound dollar to the upside. There you go. Let's look at it. What's the number going to be? What we're looking out for. Dollar index has spiked up. Dollar index has spiked up. Pound dollar has spiked down. It looks like it's big dollar strength scenarios running right through. Right, we're still waiting to see whether we won't do anything here. We're only waiting to see if it breaks past that resistance level. Right, if it breaks past this resistance level up here, 147, 147. Unemployment, so it's a big surprise again. That's why we're seeing massive dollar strength right now. Unemployment rate, instead of increasing from a 4.2 to a 4.3, it has dropped from a 4.2 to a 4.1. Now, non-farm employment change has gone from 139 instead of slowing on, it's revised as well. So it's revised from 139 to 144 instead of slowing down to a 111. It's increased or maintained the level at 147k. That's why we're seeing a big push to the upside here on the dollar index. But bear in mind that the dollar index is now outside of the Bollinger Band. Not, I mean, it's exciting, it's nice, fun, and exciting, but you shouldn't get too excited unless it breaks above this resistance level here at 97.60. Okay. Um, and average hourly earnings, inflation wage growth has slowed down from a 0.4 to a 0.2%. I told you, we talked about it. It's all a mixed bag. It's all over the place. Dollar is showing some strength. So if we look at the major currency pairs, Kiwi to the downside, on H1 first. So that's out of the picture now. We can take that one away. It's pushing down. It might come down to that 50. Again, it is way out of the Bollinger Band. We're going to see what happens, right? It could come down to that point. Definitely don't rush into a trade now. This will be the worst time to rush into a trade because you'll be getting in late. You will be getting in late. Okay, so let's clear out these thoughts because that's not playing out. Pound dollar down to the support, down to that 50% level. There is a lot of space here where it could come down, bounce, and then test lower or push back up. We'll have a look into that. So all this didn't trigger, it's taken away. US yen is flying. I like, out of everything, I kind of, oh wait, look at US Swiss franc as well. That's pushing, I didn't get into this. As you all know, I don't really like, well, I don't like trading the US Swiss franc, but it is pushing up, doing well. Like you're saying, US yen flying to the upside. A consideration, you wouldn't want to do anything in here, but a consideration on the US yen, if this upside persists, then you're looking at 146.20, and then you're looking at a tight stop loss, maybe, no, actually, 146, you're looking at a tight stop loss, maybe 50, maybe even a 200 to the upside. I don't see a 200. I think could actually look for in, I think this is outside. You could look at this kind of move on a short term, very short term kind of trade to the upside there on the US yen, pound yen to the upside. That's forming up very nicely, being dragged higher by the US yen, pushing back up. So bouncing off this support to the upside. Just watch out, it's retracing because the pound dollar is dropping, quite a bit. Okay, back to the dollar. It's pushed up, but it's sitting there. 5-minute time frame, it is still trying to push up, but you can see it's way out of the Bollinger. Anticipation is that it's going to come back in a little bit. It has some space for it to come back into. So Kiwi dollar popped right out, coming back in. What you're looking at now is possibly a move like that to the downside. Those of you who have followed me for a long time know that I look for this kind of scenarios where The first entry you could look at is something like that at that point, right? At about that point. The safer entry you would look at is if it breaks below that previous low. Those are selling entries that you can look out for. Okay, just a quick measure. That's about a 50%. That's where I want to see it get to. That's on the Kiwi dollar. The dollar index pulling back in again. Aussie dollar, same thing, pulling right back in. Aussie dollar is something that you want to kind of watch because we talked about this, right? The Aussie dollar um, has rejected this orange zone several times. So I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back in, rejects this, breaks through the support, and comes right back into the range again, where you're looking at it, and that's a potentially big move for it to play out. You're looking at it possibly breaking the support back into that 0.6505 level, and then maybe straight down towards 6450 level in that range. I don't think it's going to come all the way back in. Hey, Jamilu, how are you doing? Good to see you on the session. A very good day to you. I don't think it's dollar to the moon. It is a little bit surprising. It is a little bit surprising here. The Swizzy is pushing up. You want to watch out for that. Gonna come back in a little bit. Someone asked whether gold is going to dip. Yeah, it dipped. It dipped and ducked and dropped and rolled. It's down, right? Gold is down, breaking that 33.30 level. I don't think it's going to bounce at this point. It's going to push to the downside. Looking at that. We're looking is down to 38.2. Gold could come down to that 3300 level, right? And maybe even to 3290, where that trend line is. That's not even a great trend line. Yep, keep that there. But that's what we're looking at there on gold, possibly pulling back in again. The gold candle at that point was funny. Why? Why was it funny? You mean just before the news? It actually did signal. It signaled a little bit of the upside, but the news came out and it just went smash right down, right outside the Bollinger now. Okay, a dollar is still coming back in, so we're waiting for that. See what happens from there. Kiwi, a dollar is retraced. Right, so we were talking about this. We're looking for it to retrace back. If it turns back, that's a bit of an aggressive entry. That's a bit of a safer entry there. Okay, so we're looking out for this, whether it's going to test that 50 and 61.8 level before it turns back in. It's closed off already. 5-minute chart, 5-minute candle. Watching that point now, I think has a little bit more of a move to go before maybe coming back in. Dollar is pushing. And this is that one scenario I really didn't want to happen. This is that one scenario I really didn't want to happen because I want to find that trend following trade. I want to, in the worst case, see it retrace a little bit before it pushes along its current trend again, or its pre-existing trend. Right now, the problem is that you can have great numbers Right now, you have great numbers in terms of great employment numbers, and you've seen the dollar just pop up. But there is also the threat that it's not going to sustain, right? This was bad news yesterday where it came popped down and it came right back up again. This one's popped up. Maybe it could come right back in again. So this is not the this was the one scenario I just didn't want to happen during this live stream. I would have loved to have seen a bit more trade setups being triggered instead. Diana said I was in short position but closed before the news. Entry was 33.58 during. Oops, there. 33. Oh, nice. From there. It is pushing down. It is pushing down some more. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here. So it came up. You can see it came right up, came close to that 50 level, and then now it's pushing back down again. So if you are looking at a short-term trade, a short-term scalp to the downside, the levels would be FK. Yes, some of you I know would have entered. I'm not going to name names. Um, some of you I know would have entered at about that point there as it picked and turned back. If you caught that, if you spotted and caught that, you know why. Um, if not, then don't enter there. You want it to close below 6030 before you get into that trade. This is Kiwi to the downside or a quick 26 pip to the downside there, right? Your stop loss um, can be tight, but you put it up about there just in case it turns a bit of volatility. Then as it moves down, you just move your stop loss down again. Same thing with the Aussie. No, Aussie dollar you wouldn't. Aussie dollar you want it to clear below this support level before you would do anything. Bearing in mind that this is the point where it needs to break before we're going to see that downside move. A possibly more sustained downside move. It needs to break this point first, right? 6.5. Then onto the pound dollar. Look, it's found that support. It doesn't seem like it likes the support. It looks like it's bouncing off, but now the short-term move is still to the downside. You're gonna wait and see what happens along the support. Not one of my favorites to be shorting at this point in time. The one fam member, how you doing? Welcome to the session. Good to see you on the session. Welcome back. Euro dollar to the downside needs to see what happens at this support level. US yen, it is rocketing. It is rocketing. You are looking at a 145 level. You're looking for it to break that 145 level. A 34, you can even do a bit less. A 30 to a 80 pip take profit to the upside. The big concern here is we are 15 minutes away from the candle close, for the hourly candle to close. And if you look at all the hourly candles, we are massively outside of the Bollinger Bands. So that's the one big concern to keep in mind as well. Right? The dollar is still trying to push up. We're going to see the reaction at this resistance level. It's struggling. I'm not going to, Aussie is going to take a little bit longer. Pound dollar, euro dollar. I'm actually a bit annoyed. I wanted to get onto the yen. I would, if I'm not on the stream, I would be scalping the yen up. If I'm not on the stream, I would be scalping the yen up. Euro yen doing very well. So it's popped right up. It's broken higher. It's breakout to the upside. We talked about this with the upside potential to go. Pound yen, it's coming. So this is something that you could be looking out for on the pound yen above 197.40, 60 pip stop, 120 to the upside. You could see that, especially if the dollar yen, you miss the move on the dollar yen, it's way outside of the Bollinger Band. Possibly miss the move on the euro yen. I think that there is a chance for the pound yen to catch the pound yen to the upside. The Sweezy is doing well, not something I bother too much if I missed it. The Loonie is bouncing back up, so it didn't drop enough, but it's pushing back up. Now let's just leave it there on the CAD and see what happens along this level here. All right. Going to trading futures. We've demoed trading futures until the end of the year. What happened? What happened over the last 2 weeks? One fam member. The US yen was a bit undecided. It was undecided to the downside, and hence we saw that big push to the upside there. But I think that in the longer term, I think the US yen, as it pushes up, or if it continues to push up, could form a good, could slowly form a good setup to sell down towards, because there is increasing, can't find it now. There has been increasing talks where the BOJ should stand ready to hike rates. Board member Takata says, right, there has been increasing talks arising out of the land of the rising sun for rate hikes to come. So a push to the upside or to this upside here could be a setup to see it come right back in again or right back down again. Some strength to play out. Okay, pound yen is forming up. That's holding. I would have liked a bit of a pop and a continuation. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Let me know. What do you think of the session? Let me know what you think of the session. Doing a session like that takes me away from my own trades. So let me know if it's worthwhile to you guys. If it is, I'll try and do them from time to time. If it's not, if you don't think it is, then I'll do it on my own time and do a bit more trading and scalping. I love scalping the news releases. So let me know, what do you think? How do you feel about this session? Ten minutes to the hour close. One fan member, if it's any consolation, I'm pretty sure it's not. Or I hope it is. I hope it's some level of consolation. But yes, I agree with you entirely. The markets, with tariffs and the war and Trump's tweets and chatter, has not made it easy in the markets. That's why I've gone off on holidays. I've taken some time off I trade a lot less or shorter terms as well now during this period, just to kind of, you know, be in the markets, but not go too crazy because it's choppy. It's choppy. So I agree entirely with you. I know how you feel. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a situation where you experience and you learn and you grow from as well. It was terrible trading um, during the financial crisis, the global financial crisis in '08. It was terrible trading during Brexit, during the elections, Trump's first election. It was terrible trading when Draghi was on and getting replaced. Um, the When Scotland wanted independence from the UK. It's all terrible, but it's all a nice learning experience. You survive that. You know you have one more notch, one more feather in the hat. Look at that. Uh, Thank you so much, Jimmy. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much, Jimmy. With that, I wish you more fishes on the hook whenever you go fishing as well. Um, Great, super. Thanks for that, Diana. Hey, Infotainment Hub. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? It did all happen very quickly. It's popped and it's retraced and it's waiting now. So yes, absolutely stay super safe. Um, Sometimes not entering a trade is a lot better than entering a trade and losing. Not sometimes, all the time, any time of the day. I'd rather not enter a trade. I'd rather sit there and watch the chart move and talk to you guys and share ideas and thoughts and my thought process rather than entering a trade, because you enter a bad trade, you rush into a trade, you lose money. Nothing worse than, or a lot of things worse than losing money, but that's one of the bad things. It's 5:51 a.m. in California. Thank you for joining us at 5:51 a.m. in California. Um, uh, Am I the first voice you hear? I wish it was a better start to the day then. When markets relieve, I'll be back on Forex, but June hasn't made it. No, June. To be fair, I I spent very little time looking at the charts in June. I was away for 2 weeks. I was away for a week. I was here and there. I was all over the place. So maybe by a stroke of luck, I no, yeah. When I was away, then they started all the bombing and all the craziness as well. So it was good that I kind of missed the big brunt of craziness. Um, Thank you so much, Jimmy Lou. Appreciate that. Heading out fishing. Bring a bigger basket. You're gonna have a lot of fish there, Jimmy. You're gonna have a lot of fish coming your way. Um, I was in an Aussie trade from yesterday, but closed before the news with some profits. Glad to make this. Super. Thanks for that, Diana. Um, it was an Aussie trade from yesterday, but I closed off before news with some profit. Yeah. Yeah, the Aussie here, right? It really does look like it could come back in to this point. So, and if it comes back into this point, it breaks into this point, we could see that big push to the downside. Obviously, there are levels that it could pause at, but it's happened already, right? It's happened once, it's happened twice. I'll take that line away. Hang on. It's happened once here to the downside as a break into, right? It's happened twice to the downside as it breaks in. If it breaks back down, it's gonna happen for a third time. I know Diana absolutely loves the daily market analysis. 3 p.m. my time, 11 a.m. your time. Um, it does help with it helps with my own bias. It helps with I'm glad it helps with your own market bias as well. Dollar is still sitting there. Gold is bouncing back, not yet. Still might have a little bit of a move. I think there is still a bit of a move on gold. Um, I'm kind of thinking of that point there, 33.05. 15-minute is bouncing back up because it is crazily outside the Bollinger. Um, but if it does break back into this 33.30 level, then we can't rule out that it will push back up. So that's the make it or break it level as well. Right? So infotainment hub, that's where I am, gold now. Um, so that's the level we're looking at. Right? And there's that 50 level. That's the 50% level. So yeah, looking at it could around that level. It's between that 50 and 61.8. If it sits there and it breaks through this point, then we might see that upside. Um, but if it holds, then we could see a continuation back down again. Right? Dollar is sitting there. So it's 3 minutes to the candle close. We could actually see this happen. So maybe it doesn't go as oops, that way. Maybe it doesn't go as high. It does that, but then we could see it pull back in from that point on. See, so that's where it turned from. You could see that turn. What do I think of the EU? A great place to go for a holiday. Um, see. What I'm seeing, I kind of see well, from what I'm seeing across the board, right? We talked about gold, we talked about the euro, the yen is sitting there. It looks like we might see what we saw yesterday. So this was a bit of a reverse. This was a spike down and then it sits there and then it continues. This might be a spike up, push back down, and then maybe a continuation back up again. So it might take a bit longer to play out. Um, the euro dollar, I'm actually thinking of that level there. I'm actually thinking of that level. So 117.50. 117.50, if you look at it here, again, it's up to that level there. So that's the 15, that's the 5, this is the 15, right? If this comes up to this point, if this candle, and I don't think it will in the next 1 minute, but if it comes up to this level or the next, there you go, hour close, it's going to might pull it back up a bit. It could cause a reversal, right? So now on the H1 time frame, we've seen this close out of the Bollinger. It's deciding, it's thinking, it's going to pull back in a little bit, but don't rule out that upside yet because it hasn't caused a good reversal. The Kiwi is still trying to push down. Aussie is still trying to push down. Pound dollar maybe showing a bit of a bit of a support, finding a little bit of support there. Euro dollar finding a little bit of a support as well. outside the Bollinger, coming back in. US yen, I feel like it might sit there, might see it push across, right? Sit there, and then we might see it push back up. So actually, this could be, if you're a bit of a risk taker, this could be the opportunity to get into the US yen there at 145.30 to 80 to the upside. Something to look out for. Um, we'll be in Greece for the summer and then Brazil for the winter. Hope that gives me the break. Hey, I'm sure a trip to Greece and Brazil is gonna be helpful. It's gonna be useful. What do I think about silver? Okay, let me go through this first. Um, before that, so I think euro. I don't know whether I can't remember the answer to your question yet, Jimmy, but I think euro is a bit like that, possibly. Still kind of thinking what it needs to do, but look at this. I think this is the point here where it does need to try and figure out that level. If it does break up from here, then yeah, we do have that upside, but it's deciding at 117.50. Break 117.50, I think close above 117.50. I think we do have that upside, um, the possibility of a good recovery on up to the upside for the euro. On a good base, recover, push back up. And then what do I think about silver? Very similar to gold, a bit less, um, sometimes a little bit less crazy, but because it's not as liquid in relative terms, it does get a bit more choppy. It does have the downside potential. It looks like it does have that downside potential on silver. Right, you have a point there. That's your support, so it could come down to this support level down here. Stage 1, so wouldn't do anything unless it breaks below this point. Then you would then look for that downside move towards that 35.80 level or 35.70 level. Okay. Like my favorite pair on the US Swiss, where am I? The US Swiss franc has broke up, test came back in. Not my favorite. Um, we don't need that anymore, right? So the thing here is the big reminder, right? As much as you say it's close, you get in at 7965. It closed above 7965, but it was way outside the Bollinger Band. So that should be the big hint on not getting into that trade. Outside the Bollinger Band, it is going to have that likelihood to come back. So now across the board, everything looks like it's trying to come back in. It's retracing. But it is very, very, very early in the hour. It is very early in the hour. It could just be some quick profit taking, speculative positions, close of the hour, profit taking. So it's rebounded a little bit before the continuation back down. Give it a bit more time. You want to see what happens at these points. Uh-huh. Pound yen. It is outside the Bollinger Band. It is outside. That's why I said if you want to take a little bit of a risk, maybe on the pound yen. I think you can go on the US yen, but you would probably want to go a little bit wider on your stop. You get in a little bit earlier. I would give it a bit more time to develop. I would give it a bit more time to develop first. I wouldn't rush in. It feels a little bit too early, a little bit too rushed at this point. I'm slowly losing my voice. So we'll see. 1, 7, 5. Yeah. Yeah, watch that. That's the point. Happened there. Right? So it happened here. We're watching what happens here. It's trying. It's struggling a little bit, but it's trying. It's only been 5, 6 minutes into the new candle. Aussie is going to be the interesting one. So that one. Let the candle needs to close above this point, above that 145 level. It's trying, but it needs to close above that point. Euro yen is just taken off. It's just like, I don't care about anyone else. I don't care about anything that's happening. I'm just going to keep climbing. And it's done that. Right? It's being dragged up by the US yen. It's being dragged up by the euro dollar. The euro yen is just getting bit over bit over bit. It's pushing up. The pound yen is also pushing up. So surprisingly, the two cross pairs that we're looking at, the pound yen and the euro yen, are doing the best so far. That's coming back in. Look at that. How disappointing is the US CAD at the moment? Spiked right out, it came right back in. It's sitting there, still close enough to the support that you don't want to do anything or you can't do anything, far enough from the support that it might be tempting, but you shouldn't do anything there. That's pulling back in again. Okay, so I hope before I completely lose my voice and everything else, I hope you found this session useful, informative. If you're not a member already, I think you can see a little join button there. Join the membership, get the daily live streams at 3 p.m. when I'm not traveling, um, giving you the buyers analysis, the news analysis, the buyers, the indicators, the constant catch-ups, right? I think it's only like $9 a month or something. I just put in something there just to make sure that people who join have some skin in the game, right? Are serious about it. So do that. In the worst case, if you don't want to do anything, just make sure you click that like and subscribe button. But please remember, trade well, trade safe. It is the 3rd of July, non-farm employment change data. Um, Tomorrow is Independence Day, the 4th of July in the US. So, anyone, if there's anyone in the US watching from the US, well, we do have someone in California. Have a great Independence Day. Enjoy the fireworks. Enjoy the drinks and the barbecues and the fireworks. Take care now. See you all next week. Yeah, so tomorrow's gonna be a bit quiet, I think. So we're not doing a live stream tomorrow. So I'll see you all next week. Thanks for that, Jimmy. Take care now. Enjoy the fishing. Hey, Diana, get well soon. Feel a lot better soon. I'll talk to you all, if not on Discord, then on live stream next week. Take care now. Bye bye.